sloppiness. So my name is John McGorn, and I'm a writer, and I write. I've got a series. I write forensic crime thrillers. So I do a lot of research, and a couple things that I've learned in doing research for the books is that the more outlandish and the more kind of bizarre the things that you're researching are, the less you can rely on experts, and the more you've got to actually do stuff yourself. So I was working on a book that had to do with cryonic preservation, like freezing people's heads and stuff like that. And one of the things that I found was that, one, when you've got these really bizarre questions and you start talking to the experts, a lot of times they're like, I don't know. So the other thing that I learned, especially with something like something bizarre like cryonic preservation, is that the experts either they're for it or they're against it. So whatever you're finding out from them, you kind of have to, the one guy says, no, it doesn't work totally, and the other guy says, it totally works. So I decided that I was going to have to do some first-hand research on this one, which, when you talk about cryonic preservation, means going out and getting a big vat of liquid nitrogen, which I've been kind of waiting my entire life to have an excuse to do. When I was a kid, I used to love to go to the Franklin Institute and watch the Mr. Science Guy freezing the balloons and the tennis balls and the flowers and shattering them. I thought that was the coolest thing. So I drive out to this industrial supply company, and I was shocked that they were like, yeah, okay, you can buy some liquid nitrogen. So I bought some liquid nitrogen. So I'm driving home in my car with this big honking thing of liquid nitrogen in the back seat of my car, which was kind of freaky in part because it's a big thing of liquid nitrogen. And it's also kind of freaky because with liquid nitrogen, the cold is dangerous, but what's really dangerous is that the pressure builds up really quickly because it boils at such a low temperature. So you can't seal it. So I'm driving home with an open thing of liquid nitrogen in the backseat of my car, and so I'm driving very slowly. Anyway, so I get home and I do all the things that I had to do to figure out what I needed to figure out for this book, and I played. Because that's what you do with liquid nitrogen. And then I had finished everything that I needed to do with the liquid nitrogen. And now I've still got all this liquid nitrogen. So then my kid gets home from school. And I thought, here's my chance to earn some cool dad points. And I'm going to show off in front of my kid, because I've got liquid nitrogen. That's what you would do, right? So my kid gets home from school, he gets off the bus, and I said, I've got the coolest thing I'm going to show you. And I'm thinking back to, when I was a kid, the Franklin Institute. This was like so cool. And so we go in the backyard and we freeze a flower and we shatter it. And we freeze a tennis ball and we shatter it. And we freeze all these things and we shatter it. And he's like, it's kind of cool. And I'm like, that's not the reaction I'm looking for. I wanted some serious, hardcore, cool dad points. So I figured, well, if you just put a little bit of liquid nitrogen in a little bottle and you seal the top, what's the worst that could happen? So we got a little plastic water bottle, and I put a couple of teaspoons of liquid nitrogen in it, and I closed the top really tight, and put it on a little plastic patio table, and we got way back, because, I'm a bad father, but I'm not that bad a father. So we're like, 40, like 60 feet away, and now he's kind of like feeding off of my excitement, and, I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool, and he's like, okay, it's going to be so cool, and, we're out there, and I'm going to borrow this for a second, because the bottle starts making this, you can hear. Sorry, I just destroyed your cup. So you can hear the pressure building up in this bottle, and we're both just like like we're down there and waiting for this thing to go off, and then the crackling noise stops, and nothing happens. And now we're stuck in the back there, and he's kind of back. Okay, well I'm gonna go play some video games or something, and I'm like, no, it's gonna be cool. So I start throwing rocks at the damn thing, and I actually hit it, but it fell over, and then it's just sitting there, and he's like, okay, no, really, Dad, I've got a video game. So I'm like, okay, you can go play video games. So he turns to leave, and boom! It was incredibly loud. It was astonishingly loud, and even we're like 60 feet away, and there's like little pieces of plastic like falling out of the sky like snow all around us. And there's a hole in the table like that. And my kid looks up at me, and I knew that I had scored the cool dad points that I was looking for. And DHS didn't find out about it, so that was cool. So later that night, I come downstairs, and the boy's mom is getting on his case about something, and my job, whenever that happens, is to kind of like look stern and kind of, okay, I don't know what you did, but, you know, don't do it again. And so he's looking at his mom, and he looks at me, he looks back at her and says, Dad blew up one of the patio tables.